Welcome to the SoulScape Show with your host and intuitive multidimensional channel and soul healer, Gabrielle Spencer. You can find all SoulScape shows and free gifts from our special guests at soulscape.tv. This is season 4. I'm so excited to welcome Karen A. Dahlman, the multi-talented, multidimensional intuitive, who is here to teach you about connecting with your guides and your intuition for more clarity using divination tools, especially the Ouija Board. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here and coming to listen to Karen A. Dahlman on the SoulScape Show. I'm super excited to have her here with us today because she's going to bring just another perspective to being able to access and connect with divine guidance. And I know for myself, I use various means of doing it. And I think everyone else out there either wants to or does. And it's always good to have more tools in our toolbox for getting straight answers, especially in the wacky energy time of right now. So I'm going to just give you a little background on Karen. She is amazing. I met her out at the Conscious Life Expo in California in February and just love her energy and all that she's bringing to the table. She's out there, talk about a social butterfly. She's out there loving everybody, and it's just a beautiful thing how open-hearted she really is. But most importantly, that she's been really busy in this arena for 40 years. So she's bringing with her just a plethora of knowledge and understanding and wisdom. And most importantly, we're going to ask her, it's just right there on the tip of my tongue, how do you know who you're connecting with when you are connecting with the Ouija board? So that's my first question, and welcome, Karen. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back with you, Gabrielle. And it's wonderful to be here with all of your audience that's going to be joining us today and then when they watch it later as well. So thank you.
That's right. I'm excited. I feel like this is the time when everyone really needs to get clear on information, where they're going, what they're doing, what they need to be doing, what they should be focused on. You know, there are just so many questions that people have. And sometimes I feel like we might spin ourselves in circles. So if you'll start, how did you even get started with the Ouija board? Why the Ouija board? What brought you to that? And then, you know, we'll just see what comes next, because I really do want to know how it is that you clear the space or whatever it is that you do to make sure you're connected with the highest vibration possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So clarity, you guys, that's a big thing right now to think about. And I'll answer Gabrielle's questions, but I want to say one of my things that I do when I use the board is I seek clarity. And when I work with the beings, I just simply call the guides, they always ask me, are you clear on what we're saying? So clarity is the key word, and clarity is what we have to find in 2020, okay? So we're going to kind of go that direction tonight as we speak. But how I got started with the Ouija board is I was 8 years old. So I've actually been using the board for 47 years. I just hit my 47th year this summer, so I'm moving beyond that now. But I started at the age of 8, and it was just a tool, a game actually, my friends had and showed me how to use it. And I got to tell you, I really thought it was stupid. I thought, what do you do with this little planchette? Does it just move around? You push it? I mean, I just didn't quite get it. Now the planchette, you guys, is the piece that actually goes on top of the board, and you put your fingers on it and it moves around spelling. Okay, so I thought, this is dumb. Of course, people are pushing it. Well, I had a chance to try it, and I wasn't pushing it. My friends swore they weren't pushing it, and it started to work. And then we started to speak to one of their deceased sisters. And I said, I didn't even know you had a dead sister. I don't prefer to use that word now, but I'll use it back then. My version was, I didn't know you had a dead person, a dead sister. And it turned out the older gal that was one of my friends had a twin who died shortly after birth. Now, it was cool enough to say we're speaking to a spirit, but I'll tell you what really was exciting to me. Not that we're just speaking to a spirit, but that the spirit that died at a very young age was actually the same age as her twin in this realm. So the spirit was growing up along with these girls, but just in another dimension. And that to me blew my mind. And so I believed in the afterlife because of my practice as a Catholic, or raised as a Catholic, but because I came into the world seeing things and experiencing energies and talking to beings that nobody else could see. So I knew there was something there. But the fact that I knew this child could grow up on the other side really sparked my interest. And so I ran home, told my parents that, I really got to get a Ouija board. And they're like, sure, wink, wink, they really work. I said, you're not going to believe this. And of course, I didn't believe it. So I said, well, if you're not going to believe me, Santa Claus will. And Gabrielle and everybody else, lo and behold, December 25th, 1973, Santa Claus gave me my first Ouija board.
I love it.
The rest is history.
Gotta love Santa Claus.
I was curious. It was curiosity really that kept me using the tool. That's just what happened as I grew up.
So when you first started using the Ouija board, what kind of questions were you asking? I'm just curious as to what an age to like teenagerhood. Were you asking?
I can remember one question we asked, and I wrote about it in one of my books. The very first question I asked when I was using the board with one of my girlfriends, if you recall, there was this commercial back in the 70s that said, how do you spell relief? ROLAIDS. It was a Rolade commercial, you guys.
It was a Rolade commercial.
So I got on the board and I thought, what do you ask? I said, how do you spell relief? And it spelled out Rolades, and I thought this is really funny. There's a sense of humor I've learned over the years they have on the other side. If it wasn't like they were just like, oh, they're going to spell relief means you just feel better. They had to go with our sense of humor. So that was one of the very first questions I asked. But as I progressed with other friends, not everybody could use it very well. Not all my friends wanted to use it. Some friends had disclaimers if they came to spend the night at my house. Their mom or dad said they could not use the board. And I was like, okay, whatever. We do something else instead. It's like light as a feather, stiff as a board. We'll do something paranormal because that's always been my interest. So we asked silly questions like, does Johnny like me? Just silly things. Will I grow up to be, movie star? Just silly things like that. And it wasn't until I would say it was about in high school that I understood more the gist of using this tool, more of how far-reaching this tool could be. And I progressed from high school into college, into graduate school, where I really started pushing the boundaries with this tool and realized this tool wasn't used to just speak to the deceased. And that's when the whole world and this type of tool, how I use it, why I use it, the importance and the dedication and the reverence I have around this tool, where that really shifted and took me to a whole new level when I approached the board that way, more as a tool for exploration and discovery, as opposed to a tool just to communicate with the deceased.
Okay, so would you say that the level of information that you're able to access is based on user? Frequency
I think it's a
of the user?
Fantastic question. It's definitely based upon user. We have our own filters. We have our own perceptions and beliefs. And so I found that as my beliefs and filters and perceptions shifted, that things become greater, that would come through. That was part of my process of learning to approach this with reverence. That was something I was learning on the side, was more about my spiritual development. And it wasn't found in religion or books or teaching or class. It was found in my own connection I had with my higher power I call source, and even with my higher self. And as it started to strengthen the light within myself, I found that whatever I reached into and met with, there was such great clarity found, as well as such a sense of love. And I was met with something equal as how I approached it. So yes, the filters of the person, I call them the user or the operator of the board, or any tool for that matter, really matters. And not only that, when you use a Ouija board, you typically use it with another person, although you can use it by yourself, and I do sometimes. I prefer working with a partner. You find that your connection with your partner, as well as their own connection to source, and their filters, beliefs, and perceptions will all influence the quality and level of the message that comes through. The message of your intentions will still try to come through, but it gets filtered down like this as it comes through our own little skewed perceptions sometimes, and how much we are open, and we get to take our blinders off. And that's what I found was the trick and the key to using this tool.
So many people are afraid of the Ouija board because of all the movies that are out there that show how demonic entities can take it over and come through it and various other things. So how do you connect and make sure that, I'm going to guess how, because it's probably how I do it too, when I use
right.
the pendulum, etc. But explain to everyone how you're sure that, or as sure as you can be, that the connection is clear and that you are connecting through your guides and the person's guides, etc.
Yeah, these are good points you're bringing up, because what I found talking to other psychics and mediums and people who channel and bring in the information, they're always shocked when they say, well, you do it just the way I do it. I go, well, yeah, because it's not that, you guys, it's not this device back here. And I'll talk about these in a little bit. Not these devices I have here. It's me. Take the device away and I still do this work. And so when I come to that realization, I realized these are just in between, go-betweens. It's the channel, it's the go-to, it's the permission slip, if you will, that allows me to access the realms. So it's never the tool, it's ourselves. So when I made that realization and I was clear within myself, really set my intentions and backed it again with what I was saying earlier, with my own practice and study, my own time sitting and centering and grounding myself, all those years play into how I use this tool. Now, when I started as a kid, of course, I didn't know any of this stuff, right. But I have to say, because I was open to the belief of the afterlife is where I started. I was open to that. Plus we were told, or we spoke about angels, guardian angels in the Catholic Church. I had a prayer that talked about my guardian angels I used every night. So I knew it was always helpful. It was benevolent. It was going to be positive. And for that reason, I approached the tool even as a child with a positive measure. Now, The Exorcist movie came out December 26, 1973, one day after I got my board. The book had been out 2 years earlier. But what's fascinating about that, I didn't watch that movie.
Well, of course not. You were like 8.
I was 8. Listen, my parents were going to let me watch that, but I probably didn't watch it until I was 18.
Still haven't ever seen it. I just can't do it.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. It's worth watching if you're interested in to be, stimulated. It's nothing. I don't buy the whole story, you guys. I'll just be honest with you. And the Ouija board was used maybe about 20 seconds in the movie, not very long. But when I see that, I laugh because I go, that's not at all how the Ouija board can really work. That's not at all how you can just limit it. I mean, or that's how people limit it. The thing is that any tool you use, whether you're using cards, tarot, pendulums, it's your inner thinking, your makeup, your consciousness is going to affect it unequivocally. And so if that's clear and clean and you're positive, you're going to be met with better results on any of these tools. Now with the Ouija board, of course, there's been a lot of movies, and Hollywood is so cool because they take the item that's super hot and they put it and twist it into the stories. So for example, in 1966, I'll tell you about this. This is a William Fuld board. This William Fuld made them from early 1900s to about 1966 when they sold this to Parker Brothers. And when they sold to Parker Brothers took it over. The first year in sales alone, they outsold Monopoly and sold 1 million copies of the Ouija board. Wow. 1 million the first year. So that's 1967. So the book is written for The Exorcist in 71. And in 73, the movie comes out. So of course they're going to put that image in there and all these other movies follow suit, Witch Board, and even to this day, because Ouija boards are sold majorly everywhere. They came out with so many different styles. I'll tell you about these. These are actually not Ouija boards. You would call these either spirit boards or talking boards, because Ouija is a trademark name. And who owns Ouija is Hasbro. And here's a cute, nice angel board. A psychotherapist I know, she created this, developed it, because she believes in using talking boards and spirit boards too. You can get them in all different types, you guys. But the thing is, it's not what the board looks like. It's not how the board is made. Here's one that one of my dear friends made me. She's an artist. She's also a practicing witch.
Oh, that's beautiful.
This board is called the Luna board. It's a moon in the middle, and she actually has this resin planchette indicator that has a Luna moth in it, and she found dead Luna moths. They died like in droves one year, and then she decided to save them and put them into the resin. So it has a beautiful planchette. But
that's gorgeous art.
Isn't that great art? Listen, you guys, all boards work. But again, let's back up to Hollywood. They capitalized on Ouija board at the time. That was the most popular talking board out there, and then it just sold. And then, think about it. You go to those kind of movies to get scared, and if there's a tool that's enigmatic, you don't know much about it, it's mysterious, has a mysterious beginning to it, you're gonna go, what makes it that much better? And then of course you're gonna watch the movie and go, that must be real. That's just I don't like Ouija boards. And then you hear all these people tell you they're bad and all these things. And I'm going to say, I'm not here to be a proponent of you go use the board. But what I'm here to be a proponent of is saying, develop yourself first and then use any tool that calls to you. But it's going to be yourself that does the work that allows it to happen.
Totally agree. When I started using the pendulum many years ago, I remember going into a shop in Scottsdale, and she had them hanging from, like a tree thing, right? And so I closed my eyes and I said, which one of these pendulums will be best for me, right? And they all started swinging. I was like,
take me.
Okay. Right. So then, but what I found for myself is that I tend to resonate better with the metal ones, all metal. I can still use the gem ones or the crystal ones, but I actually just, that connection is stronger with the metal. So it just is, I offer that only in to say that if there's one board that doesn't suit you, it might be that that board just, you don't resonate with it for whatever reason. Try something else. Don't give up just like it doesn't work for me. I also find, and I'm curious to know if it kind of works the same for you, is it easier for you to do this and provide insight and information for others than for yourself?
Absolutely. Although, okay, let me back up to the resonance thing. That's really critical and key, what she just said about resonance. You find a tool that you resonate with if you're going to use tools, because really, ultimately, our body, our mind, our soul, our spirit, our consciousness is the tool. Right. But I just started with this, and it's just been great for me all these years. I find that I can get readings for myself, but if people they want to know stuff about themselves, it's always easier because I'm not so attached to it. It's the same when I do card readings, but it's specifically when I do tarot or oracle cards, it's a lot harder for me to get those readings. Now, what I've done to trick the system, if you will, with cards, I won't talk about the board. I'll get back to it in a second. There's a friend of mine who created this beautiful deck of oracle cards, and I was using them for a couple of years, loved them. She suddenly died in a car wreck. Now, she said, Karen, there's no such thing as sudden. There's no such thing as accidents. It was meant to be. I won't say her name right now because I'm going to be, I'll be talking about her in one of my books. So she came to me through the board and said, I know you're using the board to communicate with me. This is your way. My way is through the cards, because I'm going to teach you now a system you can use so you can also communicate to me or anybody else in the afterlife through the cards. And you can get clarity that way. So now I can use the cards and do afterlife readings for other people and myself, which are a lot clearer than if I was just trying to use the board by myself. So that's the little system she taught me, and it's been beautiful. I've been using it a lot for readings for people. Now, the board, I have a group of beings I communicate with. It's very much like your golden light triangle light beings that you have. It's very similar. They're a group of highly advanced souls, and it might have never been incarnated in physical body, but they're basically source energy. They're of source. They're light beings of that radiance, of that frequency, and we all actually are, you guys. They say, you guys forget that. We're here to tell you that you really are also what we are. But they just know it. They don't question it. They don't guess it. They don't forget it. They just know it. So these are the beings that I always bring through. I should say they come through automatically now with me. Doesn't matter who I use the board with, whether it's by myself or with another. They've come through since 1994, this one certain group. Although they've been in the peripheral, they're here. Now I can get super clear readings for myself too. And I can get super clear reads for people too for that reason. They're there to provide, here's the key word we started with, clarity. They are there. So we're here to be your support and cheerleaders, not to live your life for you, but to help you find that clarity by a system of questions we might ask you and a system of questions you may ask us, and we'll get there eventually. So they work like a therapist. It's really cool because that's my background. So it's amazing how you tend to attract those kind of guides.
That is very interesting. It means definitely that in your past, this is where you've had most of the lives, or the ones you resonate with a lot.
Absolutely.
I know for myself, I resonate more with that healer / magic aspect of the work. However, recently I've stepped more into that light warrior leader role, and it's kind of been interesting to, I'm going to say, open it back up, but have to step into it more fully, because you have to leave your comfort zone even in energetic spiritual work.
Yes,
right?
you do.
We're always being offered the opportunity to keep going, and I find that that's the really, really interesting part. Okay, so here's something weird.
Probably not.
I know. You know, what's interesting about it is that I don't ever think about it really. And even though I can do this for other people, I mean, I connect with other people's consciousness that have moved across and see where they are. Sometimes they're stuck. Sometimes they need healing work themselves in order to move along their trajectory. But as I was sitting here listening to you, I thought, I will have to ask you, I'm just so curious about my dad. And here's the funny part is I never, even in all this time since he's passed, have I connected with him, because I know he's fine and it isn't like that. But that's what came to me. And I thought, well, now that's fascinating. But before we get to me, I would love it if you would take some questions, because I feel like at this point in time for everybody, I feel like the biggest block for everyone is feeling like they don't know which way to go, left, right, up or down. You know, do I do anything? Or do I just sit and wait? What are we waiting for? I don't know. It feels like everybody's on hold. Do you feel the same energy out there or something else?
Yeah. For me, I feel like okay. I feel like we're moving, but it's sometimes at slow pace. You might be stuck and feel like you're stuck in the mud and you can't just make it quite connect where you want it to. And then at other times I feel like I blink my eyes and the whole world's changed. So it's like this vacillation between go, stop, go, stop, go, stop. And then I also find that it seems like it's catapulting us, not just pushing us, not just nudging, it's catapulting us into this whole new realm of reality of being for all of us, whether it's mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It's really what it's doing. And the guys are here to say this too. They're telling me, they're saying, tell them how important it is. Here I go. They want to just come through. Tell them how important it is. Tell them. Okay, I will. Okay, here we go. We want you to know how important it is that you see yourself as a divine spark right now. You are going through an initiation, if you will, an initiation of your greatest self. It is coming through. So give yourself time and patience through this. As Karen is talking about the sludge, the mud, the pull and the push, she said, she's saying exactly what we are saying and telling her and thinking for about you, because you in your mind, yourself, you're thinking, when is this going to end? When is this going to start? We're here to tell you, dear ones, that it is starting. You are actually at a time of great transition and change, transformation for you, that you're going to have that clarity that we were talking about earlier. Clarity, that's the key, as they said earlier in this talk. Keep that word within you, hold it in your heart, and say to yourself like this: what is the divine direction I need to go right now? Now, it might just be a thought. It might be a word. It might be a picture. It might be a symbol. It might be a sign. You might get an email. You guys, electronic stuff. You might get some picture. Just take that and say, that's the next direction, and trust it. And if you're open to that, they'll keep coming to you. This is the time to have great clarity, because things are falling apart at the seams. And when things fall apart at the seams, what happens is you're able to see the underbelly, the insides, the mechanisms, the workings. And that is what's happening to you. And you are going to see that more and more within yourself, every single one of them. I can speak that Karen has seen so much of that in her own life, but we want you to know that each of you are too. And do not be afraid at all. Please do not be afraid, dear ones, because we want you to know that this is you emerging from that cocoon into that beautiful butterfly you're supposed to be. Just know right now, as you are that caterpillar, and we've talked about this caterpillar metaphor before, ad nauseum, we will say, because it's a time when you eat and prepare, and you've did all that work. But 2020 is a time when you go in your chrysalis, you go in that cocoon, and you start to emerge. Some of you are emerging quicker than others. Some of you are emerging slowly. But do not judge yourself at where your pace is, because it's all perfect timing for you. Please hear these words. Clarity is the key. Timing is what you're after. And 3, go within and allow yourself to ask, what is the next step I should take? What is the next direction? And don't be afraid to ask this 5 times a day, 10 times a day, or ask it every week or every hour, because in times like this, when things are turbulent, you must find the solace within. For know when you go within, as Karen has found, you will find us within you, because that is where communication happens. And we thank you for this time to speak.
Very important, everything that you said. It's very important to go within in order to find your way and to find your answers, as each one of us every day is provided more opportunities. It just depends on what we do with them, you know, and making the decisions for what it means. I know that I feel like lately I've been saying, as people have texted or called or emailed, and they're like, oh, Gabrielle, this didn't work out. or this happened. And I'm like, that's okay. Just let it go. Just stay in your divine trust that what is meant for you is coming, and that you know that your higher self is on it. And most importantly, that through your higher self, it will come through. And you'll know, you'll get that prod or that kick, whatever it is you need in order to do that next step. That next step piece is super important, that people have to understand. It's very rare that the whole enchilada shows up.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's step by step for the most part.
It is step by step. Exactly. But in that can be fun. And we try very hard to realize that, you know, this isn't about happy ever after. I feel like that's a block for people. They're always looking for the happily ever after.
Right.
And it's more important that we are living our highest and greatest good in every moment, however that is. No judgment, right? And it's hard to be no judgment. I remember 20 years ago when I was told, we're not supposed to have judgment. And I laughed my butt off. And I was like, that's impossible. We are human. And that's something that no matter how far along you are on your path, I think we still struggle with at times to get over that. You know, like I said, when I can say to people, it's so easy for me to say to other people, yep, but that's okay. Let it go. Because you know what? That's the judgment, right? When you're judged, it didn't come out the way you wanted or that you hoped. And you're like, well, I was counting on this to happen, etc. And that's the really hard part. So in that case, let's say something was supposed to happen, or it was given to you on your Ouija board that it was going to happen, and then it doesn't, or something else comes in instead. How do you deal with that?
Well, the Ouija board, when I work the Ouija board, the way I use it, I work with the guides. They don't get predictions. They're not somebody's going to say, this will happen to you in 5 years or 2 years. They say, we're not, this is what they say. They go, we're not fortune tellers. We're not seers. We're not soothsayers. We don't do psychic work. Although we see possibilities, we read vibration. And they say the vibration right now is saying, this is the direction it's going. The vibration reads this, but they never say to somebody, they'll never say, tomorrow you're going to get a call from your ex-boyfriend and you're going to get back together again. People ask those questions, and that's what they'll say. They'll say the vibration right now reads that you're anxious. Yeah. They would say instead, the vibration reads that you're anxious about a phone call. They probably follow up with the question is, who is it you're thinking is going to call? And so they put the onus back on you. They put the responsibility back on yourself to go, well, maybe my ex-boyfriend, because I've really been thinking about him. You know, so the way I work with guides, it's not for them to take over our lives and tell us what's going to happen next. And even when I do readings with the cards, I don't do predictions per se. I also read the energies, which is no different than the guides on the board reading the energies. That's right. Reading the vibration.
That's how we all do it. That's how psychics do it.
That's how they do it.
Just reading the energy that is closest and when you're trying to do a time thing, it's really based on the vibration of it. Does it seem far away or close? And
well, here, throw this in there. It also bases on the timeline. You could have a parallel you living in another dimension, another time, because we're multidimensional beings. So something else could be happening on another level. That's getting way far out there, but that's what happens. So what timeline they're reading? People have they've asked, we do a lot of live sessions where people can call in and ask questions, and we'll do them on my YouTube show. We'll do it on radio shows and stuff. And people will ask and say, okay, so in my past life, was I this warrior guy? And they'll say, well, which past life are you talking about? They're saying all your lives are happening concurrently. So then they answer, sometimes they'll say, well, yeah, you've been a beggar, a thief, a pauper, a serve, you've been a servant, you've been a king, you've been all these things. So which life are you talking about? Right. And it really puts it in perspective. So we have free will too. That comes into play. So whenever the messages come through, no matter what the readings I do or the board or it doesn't matter what tool, you have free will to change that. And so I have to remind people that it's just that right now the energy is more congregated in this direction. It's kind of going in this direction, but you can go, nope, tomorrow and go this way. That's the beauty of living life. That's the beauty of what we have here. And truly that is one of the gifts of source that we're given, is the gift of free will. That's super important to think about.
That can be a gift and it can be a curse. But anyway, sometimes No, I'm just teasing. All right, everybody. So we're starting to pile up questions. So if people want to talk, I want you to raise your hands at the bottom of your Zoom call so that we can call on you and you can speak to her as well. But we'll start right now with many of the written questions. Okay, so are you ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see the first one with Rochelle?
Uh-huh.
Rochelle says, within the next year, I'll be inheriting part or all of my parents' estate. Could you please tell me if I will receive the smaller share or the whole pie? So she says, note, I'm grateful either way, but there is a huge difference in the amount to be received. When I ask and listen for the answer, I get mixed messages. Knowing this would be really helpful.
Well, this is just me talking. If the guides want to come through, they'll come through. And when I do these kind of readings, I'm not at all using the board. I feel like it's too slow, and they've taught me to get off the board and work. So let me just check in with this. Immediately, I'm getting a sense that you're going to get a portion of it. I'm sure it would be nice to get the whole thing, but what I'm getting right now is it's going to be a portion. And to the gratefulness, I can feel that around you. You're very thankful, and to continue to hold that energy, because I also see something getting switched over at the end. There's something else that's going to happen where you're going to go, oh, I'm only getting this amount or something. And that's okay. That's human to go, oh, or yay, I see it also. There's something that's going to come in the end, at the very end. It's going to go, oh, here's some more. Here's another clause or something. I'm not sure what it is, but I see it switching for you at the very end. So even when you see the first initial paperwork or documents, just see there's something else there. It might be another gift or something else that's at the end of it. So if that makes sense, I hope it does. But that's what I'm getting for you.
Good.
That's okay. I'm gonna say too. That's why you're getting the mixed messages. That's what I'm getting. You're getting the mixed messages.
It's not set.
It's not set in stone. There's another piece there, and everybody's thinking it's just this, but it's another thing over here, and that's set. That part is
good. Okay, it's a good answer. Okay, so Elena says, I'm extremely sensitive, always believed dolphins are higher race of beings, always believed in fairies, gnomes, etc., in guardian angels and in afterlife, but for some reason I barely get any signs from my late husband, Tony, just subtle wind blowing, cracking in the house in one particular corner, a rare dream. He was and is my soulmate, and I believed I would be able to connect with him when he is gone. Same goes for my recently passed amazing dog, Kira. I can barely connect with her. Please help.
Wow. Okay. For me personally, it's very emotional for me. So I'm going to step back because I can feel like there's this a deeper connection. I'm just going to step back and let the guides come through. So just give me a moment and see what they have to say to you. My dear, we say to you that you really have been experiencing connections from not only your husband, but also from your pets. But not just from that, from other beings that are reaching out to you. Everything that you said you hear, if it's that wind whispering in your ear or that soft touch or that thought you get, that is him reaching to you. That is them coming through. So always know it's not going to come the way you want it to, the way you think it should. Know that it's going to come the way that they can bring it and that you're willing to accept. Now, we will say this too, if you would like to have more of a connection on a different level, maybe words or more images and better dreams that bring you together in great love ways, what we say to you is open up and remove the blinders. Open up your system, open up your heart and ask. Intentionally state, I would welcome these connections and openings. Now, one thing we want to warn you about, which is not a negative thing at all, but just say there's a part of you that is a little afraid to have those type of bigger connections that you so want to have. But first, acknowledge what has already come through. Acknowledge and accept that. And know that that is your loved ones coming through. But also open up to receive more, because he does want to bring through more for you, but does not want to scare you. Thank you.
Nice. I want to tell people that are on the phones, *9 will also raise your hand. I forget sometimes.
Yeah, do that. That'd be great. It'd be great to hear people's voices too. That always helps.
I love when people ask questions live. Yes.
You
It's
know, we could
makes
read
it.
the energy of the voice too.
Yes.
When I
Yes.
do readings like over the phone or something, I get the voice, and then if the guides then come through, they read that vibration too. Right now, all we're able to do right now is read from the words, and I usually bring the emotion in, and then that's how we answer it. So it's all through the heart, you guys.
So
Everything's
Rochelle, but in response to the first one, Rochelle wrote in, thank you. That makes sense.
You're
So
very welcome.
there
Yeah,
you go. So that made sense to her.
good.
The good news is you're not crazy.
Ooh, good.
I have to laugh because, you know, we do hear things and we feel things and we try to incorporate it and interpret
Right.
it correctly. Because as you said, it's the filter, like things mean certain things. Like I will see something and it means something to me. And then
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain what it is I'm seeing and what that means, you know, and it's fascinating always. It's always really hilarious.
Well,
Okay.
and it's funny too, because everybody has their own symbol book, if you will. So if you go to a dream
Yes.
book interpretation, what does this mean? Don't rely on that. Use that as a segue. Use it as a jumping off point, because what you'll find is you have a different reference to an apple that maybe Gabrielle has and what I have, you know? So really be open to this. Okay, this is what they're saying. They're saying this whole talk today is really about helping everybody remove their boundaries and open up their perceptions to be able to receive more, because that's what we have to do this year, you guys. It's clarity, opening up.
Yes, you do. There's nothing greater. There's no moving forward, moving into any other dimension or any other thing that we're trying to do until you have that your own sense of clarity and understanding.
Yes.
Because things here, you know, I was told a couple weeks ago, and I still don't understand it exactly, but I was told that we have become untethered to time.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep. I got chills. Yep.
see, and so I got that and I was like, wow, that seems, you know, really important. What does it mean exactly? I don't know. I just know that time no longer is flowing the way we have always measured it. And when you think about us here in the US, you know, everything is measured by time. I remember when I lived overseas and somebody would say to me, well, how long does it, or how far away is it or something? And I would automatically interpret that and say, well, it's 20 minutes. And I remember
Okay.
somebody saying to me, why do you always tell us how much time it takes? And I never had thought about it before that. But I was like, well, that's how we do it in the US. Like, it's 5 miles. It's that it's going to take me 20 minutes to get there. So it's a fascinating thing to be told then we're no longer tethered to time, because you're like, how's that going to work?
Well, I'd like to say something about that, because I've been getting messages about this. It's something in some experiences I've been having, and I've asked the guides about it, and they didn't use the word untethered to time, but when you said that, I got it 100%. It's that now we are seeing that we're not just existing within a time space continuum, very linear. We're beginning to access more of our multidimensional selves. Therefore, I'll give you an example. For example, I was out traveling somewhere and I wanted to go hiking to this ridge, and I was with a friend of mine. I said that ridge, God, that's going to be at least 45 minutes to an hour to get over there. And it definitely was. And he looked at it and goes, yeah, at least 45 minutes to an hour. So, and it was, you know, looked pretty far away. And so we started hiking to it. We got there within 15 minutes or less. We walked back and got back in 7 minutes. And I'm like, what just happened? We said, we just bent time. We bent time because we had such a great intention to get over to that ridge. We were looking at these really cool intaglios, which it's kind of like the NASCAR lines. You get above it and you can see these giant figures carved on the desert ground. And this is out here in California. So I'm out there. I did a video about it if you guys want to see it on my YouTube channel. When I went out in the desert and did this, but this whole time thing got bent. And we later went back and we talked to the guides through the board that time. And they said, you have just had an example of how you can manipulate time, because you're not so focused on how long it's going to take. You looked at that, but then you got out there and your intention said, I really want to get there sooner because we want to get over back here to this thing before night falls. And they said that in itself allowed you to skip and jump through time. So we're bending it now, you guys. This is what goes on in other dimensions. We're moving into another dimension too. This is what happens.
Right. That's awesome. I'm going to try it.
Try it. And I got to tell you, I can't do it every time. But when that day we're like, I've done it a few times since. Okay, here's another example, you guys. I know all of you will know this. And you're going to go, oh, of course. You know, when you're so involved in something, you get so excited about it. I do artwork. I can be doing art for 5 or 6 hours, and I think only maybe an hour went by and the whole afternoon's gone. Or writing. Okay, that's a way, although, and you look at your clock and all that time that's a beginning how it starts.
Right.
What we literally did was go over there quicker than it really should have taken and came back even quicker than we got there at the same pace. That was a whole nother, like going through dimensions. It's almost like wormholes. So you start there where you get absorbed in time, where you don't care about time. And then you put your intentions of, I'm going to do this faster, or I'm going to make all this stuff is going to happen, but I'm going to go at my pace and it's still going to happen. That's where it gets pretty kooky.
I'm going to try it.
Try it. All of you try it.
So many things I need to accomplish in 5 minutes instead of 5 hours.
Oh, you and me both. All of us, I'm sure.
We've been saying forever, right? We need more time in our day. Well, instead, I would like it just to be finished faster. Maybe that was the smarter thing to ask for, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to finish this faster than
well,
that.
More time makes you hook into the time and space continuum because you think you need time to do it. Instead, just do it and let it happen. That's kind of what I think the point is, what they're trying to teach me.
20 years ago, we were told to connect with Father Time and Soul Tech.
I remember. Mm-hmm.
Okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So has that changed? Because I forget to do it, but I mean, it worked back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's worse when I've had to get my kids to school. Magically.
Yeah, exactly. That's another way of thinking about it. I mean, shapeshifters, the ones or people who journey, shamans and journeyers, hypnosis, all these things can help you shift time. But you can do it when you're fully conscious. You get in a car and you just drive, and next thing you know, you're already home. You're like, how did I do it? Usually that takes 20 minutes. Got home really quickly. It's those kinds of things that happen. It's like you are moving through time at not this time that's relevant or specific to our dimension. We are multidimensional beings. So, if I can crack that code and do it every time, I would teach you guys. I haven't cracked that code yet, but I've had experience.
But you've experienced it. And once you experience it and others start experiencing it, we will put it together on a group level. Okay,
that's right. It's right. It's that whole 99 monkey, 100 monkey syndrome thing. Yeah, and when you talk about the law of critical mass, it's what do you need to get to the point when we all start shifting in consciousness? Well, people are starting to do these things. This kind of ties into the Mandela effect, where past has already started to change because how people remembered it. So that's also working with the time-space continuum. So we're seeing glimpses into this, and all we got to do is just all of us keep practicing.
Okay, everyone, we're going to task you with it, and I want you to send in emails and let us know what you're doing or what happened.
Yes.
So that we can start consciously amassing the group experience. Because there's a part of that unconscious and conscious. When we start to recognize things ourselves, that's when there are other aspects of ourselves that are paying attention. And then we learn more and we're able to share it with one another and help others to do it too, instead of them just happenstance, maybe they get it or not. Okay, so I believe, have I unmuted you?
Yes, you have.
Oh,
all
wonderful.
Right. Say hi. Tell us your name.
Hello. This is Susie. Hello.
Hi, Susie.
Hi. Okay, talking about time, I wanted to go in another direction. Teleporting. Oh my God, I've been wanting to teleport since I got here in the first place, and still not really at all. So do we have any messages on that? As you're talking about time.
Well, personally for me, when you say teleport, my question would be, isn't that kind of like out of body experience? But you want to actually take your body and go physically into another place.
Correct. And then I want my clothes and my luggage and everything to go with me too. Taking a plane.
I get it. I've heard of people telling stories, and that has not happened to me. I don't have experience myself, but I've heard people tell stories where they've actually switched into other dimensions. Hank Wesselman wrote a great book. I can't think of what the name of the book is right now. He would shoot me. Hank Wesselman. He wrote about that. It was like I think it was an avatar. It was like an avatar. He would go to sleep at night, end up in a whole new world, a whole new life, in another dimension of time. It seemed like it was the United States, but it was actually like years and years and years ahead of it. Of time, like I don't know, several thousand. Maybe I'm doing the age wrong, but look up Hank Wesselman. He talks about it in one of his books, and he literally experienced that himself, where he just go to sleep at night and end up in a whole nother reality, night after night, and had a whole family, a wife, his life. It was crazy. So people are saying it's possible. Saint Germain, the alchemist, Saint Germain who practiced alchemy, was one of the people that said, and it was written about, that he could actually go into other time dimensions too. And every now and then he'll appear, like in Mount Shasta. People are walking around, they'll see him, but he's able to jump time. So people can do that. What I'm hearing from the guides is, yes, absolutely. They say nothing is unlimited. This is me speaking. They're just telling you what to say. Tell her that nothing is unlimited. It does take a lot of time and practice at these things, but yet it can be done. But you really have to believe it, and you really have to keep practicing. It's no different than using a new tool. They're saying, like, you practice using a tool. They say, they're telling me, Karen, people write to you all the time and they say that they can't use the tool, but you help them with time and practice to do that. It's not impossible. Okay. It's not, they're saying, okay, Karen, tell them nothing. They're saying everything is possible. Everything is possible if you believe. Just got to find a way to get to it. So I don't have the answer to that, but they're saying, yes, you can do that. And for you specifically, you're so interested in it, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm saying this, Karen's saying it. I wouldn't be surprised if you're able to tap that somehow. And it may just start in dreams like Hank Wesselman was able to do. But it sounds like it's something you definitely worth trying.
Right. Okay. So the clue is to look up Hank Wesselman?
Yeah.
Or are there other clues?
Yeah, that's a big clue. They brought that to my attention to tell you. That's a big clue. Look that one up. Look up Saint Germain. He was also somebody that he could appear. But these are also people that are like, they can go into dimensions such as they could be off plane, like in a spiritual dimension and come back down. So I guess Jesus in that sense was one of these great people that could do the same thing. Buddha and some of these greater sages of ours and wise people were able to do that same thing. They just did it from another dimension. So going out of body is like you're able to, your spirit self is able to leave that body and then go in another dimension. But you're talking about doing the whole physical transport, which people have, there's talks and stuff written down that people have done this. They're saying they've done it before.
Yeah. I can pretty well get out of my body and back pretty all the time. So
I'm going to tell you what,
that's
huge. That's huge. That's half the battle. I mean, that's it right there. You're starting.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. What's your question?
Okay. So the question was, will I be moving and where? I guess when, where?
Guidance.
Moving.
Okay, so I wish I had my cards with me. I don't have my cards. Usually my cards are really good when I use my cards. So I don't have that when. It's so funny. It's like I'm seeing the north. I'm seeing like the word that came to me is Minnesota. That just seems so bizarre. Maybe it's the word that has an M in it because I saw a giant M, and so it could be like New Mexico, Montana, Minnesota. But it seems like it's more north. I don't know where you're located, but it seems like something north that might be drawing you to it. Do you understand what I'm talking about when I say an M?
Not at all. No, I totally have no idea where to go. But right now, I'm in sunny, burning down California.
Okay, that's where I am too. What I'm hearing is north. There's somewhere north for you to look at. I don't know if that's Northern California or somewhere up north, which could be more Montana, Minnesota, or something with the M. So it wouldn't be New Mexico. It's something with the M in it. I see M. Like that's predominant in it. But I'm not.
Okay.
If I could answer you better if I had my cards in front of me, because then I give you more dates and stuff. Right now, I don't have a date. Let me ask this, Gabrielle. Are you getting anything from her, like a date, maybe?
I can't play on this one.
Okay. Okay.
I
do
Susie,
see that. I do see that a move will be good for you. I don't see it right away. Though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
so like next year.
Like next year.
September, October, November.
I'm hearing 21. I'm hearing 2021. So I don't see it this year, but what I'm hearing is it'd be really, really good for you. And I still think it's more north than where you are. Maybe it's just a city that's with the M. There's an M. Could be double M's in it. Like maybe like, I can't even think of where there's double M's in it right now. It could be a word with double M's like a city, or it could be even like Mississippi. I don't know. I'm seeing double letters. That's what's weird about it.
okay. We're going to see what happens. All right. I lost.
Can I see this? One last thing. Can I email you and maybe you can pull a card and just send it over?
I'll tell you what. Reach out to me and remind me you were on this show. Reach out to me on my website at KarenADahlman.com.
Okay.
Contact, and then send me and remind me you were on the show, and I will pull cards for you. Now, listen, I can't do this for everybody, but I'm willing to do one. Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Just so we know where the M's are. Anyway, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Good luck.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I lost Tina. Tina, if you're out there, raise your hand again and I will open you. Now,
Oh, I want to say something about Tina. She said, in our words, we create a reality. And imagine, I'm going to tell you right now, dragons, unicorns, they're all real. I've communicated with them. The guides come through and tell me they have all existed in some form, in some dimension, in some time space continuum. And some of us can still tap into them. We had those tales we told to them because these people went off and somehow they here we go. Now this is back into kind of teleporting or Hank Wesselman's work. They projected himself into another dimension, and then they see these creatures they don't understand and find their way back and tell stories of these winged creatures. And by the way, I've talked to dragons. They like to be called dragoons. They are real. Unicorns are real. All these mermaids. We start in our imagination, which we think means fake or made up. Imagination is the fodder of your ability to perceive and your perceptions and your ability to create possibilities. That's what imagination is. And once you begin to see these things, then you'll be able to open yourself up to the possibilities that they exist. And once you open up these possibilities, then you start having these little time slips we're talking about, these teleportations we're talking about, or interactions with these creatures that nobody else can see or only a few can see. Now, I've had some extraterrestrials interactions literally in person because my mind is so open and my consciousness is so open that it's absolutely possible to have these kinds of things we're talking about today and what Tina brought up happen and occur and be real.
I have done so many healings for people that have had some of their greatest lives as dragons. And this is the most amazing aspect of doing multidimensional healing work is that the reason that a lot of times people don't remove the blocks or the limitations in your current life is because the origin is not in a third dimensional human existence. It actually started in some other multidimensional existence and you were not human. And so it's why I was talking earlier about things that we actually prefer to incarnate as, or we find areas that are strengths. A lot of times they're strengths because we've done them over and over and over and over. And it just is inherently within our genetics and our understanding. We just have that knowledge. People will say to me, how do you do something? And I'm like, I don't know. I just do it. And it's because once I opened those other existences, it was just right there. And so to even be able to teach, I can tell you how I do it and I show people, but it doesn't work as easily. And it's hard for me to then understand, why doesn't it work easy? It's so easy, right? It's just like you doing what you do. It's like, it comes to you so easy. Yes, with practice, but you have a connection and you've developed it more and more. And that's how it works. Like we have areas that we just naturally are drawn to. Okay, now, I'm not sure if this is the same Tina, but she did raise her hand again. So we are going to say hello to her. Hi, Tina. Can you unmute yourself? There we go. Tina, are you there?
Okay, hello?
Hello?
Hello.
There we go. I had my headset in there, so I messed it up for a minute.
We can hear you, Tina. Welcome.
All
Welcome to the show.
Well, I just love everything that you guys are talking about. I was actually, I don't even know now that you called on me. I'm like, what? I don't know what was I going to say? Because I was actually messing my daughter today. I was visiting. She's 18 years old, just moved into her place, a new apartment. And she said, Mom, the last 2 nights I've seen a dragon eye on the ceiling. And I'm like, honey, get out of your fear and appreciate it. They're there to protect you and watch over you.
Good for you.
You know, like, stop. Get out of that shit pile and fly around and know that everything's good. I think these kids nowadays and all their fear that they bring into themselves, it's like, stop. But anyway, I just was wondering maybe even if my dragons have a message for me, because I have been reaching out for like a couple years now. I've been like, when I meditate, I'll see like the dragon's eye or even a unicorn or something. But recently, and actually, to be the truth, on my security cameras, I've seen, it looks like a dragon. It happened one time, and there was like these egg-shaped things that radiated and moved. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. But I got about 30 minutes video of it. It is the most awesome thing. And it's like an etheric, like a lighted, from the lights or something, because it had been raining. So it's like the energy of it all. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It looked like a spider web, sort of egg shape. I don't even know. But anyway.
Well, I'm going to tell you, my cat wants to say hello. He just came over here. His name is
My
Bear.
cat did too. My cat just came into the room.
And I want to say something too about the dragons. And by the way, all animals too. If you're really drawn to certain, well, I'm not even gonna call them mythological. We just like to call them that. Any kind of animal or creature you're drawn to, it's because that's part of your tribe. Just like Gabrielle was saying earlier, it's like you've had an experience with them. And sometimes when you're in your incarnations, you have incarnated in these other dimensions where these beings exist, or you've incarnated with them, or you live with them. They're part of your tribe. So what I'm getting from you when you speak, there's 3 dragons I get that are around you right now that are super important. Like they want it. They're giving you messages. And I'm not surprised they're coming to your daughter. There's something you wanted. I think there's something you wanted to tell your daughter recently that she didn't quite listen to you on. And that's why the dragons are coming around her room, flying and saying something. They're trying to get her to pay attention.
They're trying to get her to wake up because she shut down back about 10 years ago when I woke up. It took a sledgehammer and maybe a jackhammer to finally get me to realize that this stuff was real. And I actually almost died. My grandmother came to me. I woke up in a crazy room in the hospital, and my grandmother came to me and saved got me out of there and got me on this path. I mean, I was afraid to put spirit on the computer. And if it wasn't for a place like this to realize that I'm not crazy and that I don't know how I would have made it this far.
I know. And I feel it. You've come a long way. It's
you
so
have
important.
No idea.
You're amazing. And I want to say it's so important that you're helping your daughter understand this too, because you don't want to see her close down like you did. Now she's going to have her ups and downs.
Oh, she did close down though. That's the thing. She I know she's more awake and aware than what she puts out there, but her boyfriend, I just found out, he believes she goes, Mom, he believes in that reincarnation stuff and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, honey, you should too. You talk to grandma all the time. You're the one that made me realize it was real. But, she doesn't know that now. And
that's great you're having those conversations with her. That's what heals people. It's like, not everybody has to believe this. There are people out there listening going, I don't believe in dragons. That's fine. But be open to just experiencing.
But it's my world, and if I want to believe in dragons, I have the right to do that. Don't put me in a box with you guys. I'm over here in my own little box, and I will have dragons in my world. I'm sorry.
And by the way, you do. There's 3.
I know. I already know I do. That's the thing. Yeah. You got to watch who you go tell people like that. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to go fly on my dragon. I joke around with the kids and stuff like that. I tell them, bring the dragons in when they sleep. And I just like to play around. And I said, imagination is the most beautiful thing. When you don't have an imagination, how can we create? I mean, that's what's made what we have is by imagination. So
imagination allows us.
What do you got?
It allows us to open up the possibilities to the world. And when we think a lot of us just hold on to what we've been told and taught. We come into the world. But what happens is that as we start removing those blinders we talked about earlier, we start opening up our imagination, our consciousness, then our awareness clears away. And that's what I did with the board. And next thing you know, everything becomes more in your environment, in your aura, in your energy. And then you start opening up, and this is where the third eye comes into play. You actually start opening up your pineal gland to see into the other dimensions. And that is why your daughter's seeing this. It's why you're seeing it. You guys are opening your pineal glands.
And my baby sister, I haven't seen her in like a year, and I was just at her house last week, and she told me out in the trees she saw a dragon out in her trees, because I wasn't going to tell anybody this, but I seen the shape of a dragon. I'm like, of course you did. Like to me, I just laugh and go along, and they're just like, woo! I'm like, I've seen things around that most people probably would never see. So, I don't ever doubt anybody.
Yeah, that's great. You're so awesome. Open to it.
All right.
But as we're talking, my heart is beating so fast. Like all of a sudden, like the energy that I just felt from like talking to you guys just is so beautiful.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thank you, sweetie. And we'll send love and light to your daughter that she can be open. All right, sweetheart. Okay, so we have a ton of questions. So we'll just try to get through a few more.
Okay.
Okay, so
Jacqueline wants to see dragons too. Well, you know what? I haven't seen a dragon yet, but I talked to them and communicate with them. My friend who passed over, who was the one that made the beautiful oracle cards, she used to see dragons, and I trust her totally. I see other things. So you may not see a dragon. You may start seeing, I see extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings. I see a lot of different things. So.
Agreed. And everything shows up in its time for you, depending on what it is that you're needing and reconnecting with. And although I have seen people, let's say, in other lifetimes as dragons, I tend to connect with a certain type of dragon. And so I think that that's also very interesting because there's different species of everything.
That's
So
right.
some of us are more connected to a certain kind than others. I'm not really connected with the fairy kingdom, although, you know, I have seen elves and such, but I'm not
I have
really
too.
big, right? Yeah, I mean, I had a client and her house wouldn't sell, and she asked me why, and I looked into the energetics, and I was like, oh my God, you have like a whole community of fairies that live out there. And she was like, oh my God, if you were to see my backyard, it's this gorgeous lake pond thing, and she's got all this lush flowers and trees and all this stuff. She's like, it's gorgeous by them. I'm like, yeah, well, they don't want you to leave. And so she had to buy, this is so funny but true, she had to buy them like a home, like almost like a bird house kind of thing, but she bought a beautiful one that looked like a house, of course. But what happened was after they left, the house still didn't sell. And the good fairies left and bad fairies came. And it was just fascinating because then we had to clean them out. And as soon as we did, the house sold. But those fairies left when she left, even though the house did not sell. So it's fascinating that you can be connected to fairies and other beings that are there because of you, for sure.
That's right. That's right. And because of the environment and, you know, we all have all these, I'm going to call them friends in spirit. So that doesn't mean deceased people, just, it means like other energies and beings that exist in other dimensions that they could be serve as guides or friends, or they like to watch, but they're these, I'm talking about ones that are helpful, you guys. I'm not talking about anything bad or anything like that. I'm talking about ones that are open and they're around you because they want to support you and cheer you and on. And you just start opening up, you'll start meeting them. And I'll tell you, one of the easiest ways to get to know them is to ask for them to present themselves in your dreams. But you got to be willing to write down your dreams and they'll start coming. And then another way you can do it too is you can say, I'd like to connect with my guide. Take a piece of paper out, just write, I'm connecting with my guide today. And just let your hand start writing, just whatever. If I say, well, I don't know what I'm saying, all of a sudden it goes, hey, how are you today? I wanted to tell you that I'm here to talk to you. I try it, you guys. Guides can come through if you just kind of let go. You have to let go.
Okay, so somebody had asked, how do you get clarity? So I'm going to say you've answered it. This is a good way to get started because it is different for every person. And you have to find, just like we were talking about tools, you have to find your own way that works. And honestly, if it feels peaceful, if it feels exciting, if it feels connected, then it's good. If you feel fear, then you might either need to do some work or realize that you could bring in more light before you connect, and surround yourself in light and call on your angels and other protectors, etc., in order to help keep that clarity channel as clear as possible, where you're not being unduly influenced, affected, or impacted by entities that are not looking out for your highest and best good. Okay. So Jacqueline asks, I have many ideas in what to do with my life, but I can't decide what would be the best thing for me to do right now. Focus on my own collection of symbolic jewelry, or focus on learning EFT, or become an Akashic reader. I love all of these. I can't make up my mind. And can I quit my day job?
You know, I'll just be sensible here. Never quit your day job until you know the piece can happen. Because I, you know, it's funny because Gabrielle and I both talked about this. You know, we also have careers in other industries and other endeavors that aren't necessarily spiritual label on them. But I'm going to say something right now. You're going to be able to, everything you're doing spiritually, you're going to be able to move it into that arena, and people aren't going to know it. And you're going to start meeting with such great success because you're going to use these tools. So here's an example. This is not so spiritual, but I was trained as a psychotherapist, worked many years doing that. But in the background, I was doing my Ouija board readings and all kinds of my spiritual stuff I would do. And that just augmented myself as a therapist, and also vice versa when I did this work. The other thing is I own a company. It's in technology, it's telecommunications I do. And I still do that to this day, in addition to all my spiritual reading, my writing, my books, my talks, all the stuff I do. But what I find is I take who I've become and who I am empowered in my, you know, my work with the board and readings for people. And I bring that back to my work, and I can sit back more with a calm centeredness when I'm dealing with all these, you know, men, especially in my industry. I mean, with a lot of men, and there's women too, but a lot of different opinions and voices and technology changing. And I can sit back and be centered, and I do so much better in my work now. So what I say to you, this is what I say as more of a therapist slash advisor, I would say explore all those things. Don't limit yourself to one. The jewelry is beautiful. And I can feel it. It's like a healing. It feels like goddess energy. It feels healing. It feels like it's definitely empowering. Do that. Do the trainings. Do all of that in addition to your job, and task yourself to bring all that into your job. So your job that you currently have, that I know you don't want to be at forever, you just feel like it brings a little more joy to it. If you can do that and pursue all these things that bring you joy, you're going to find yourself propelled step by step into where you really want to go. Now, here's the trick. And the guys always say to me, I'll go, well, which path do I go on? And I always want them to answer. I go, well, we're not going to tell you. We're going to ask you this. Check inside yourself and see, where do you find your greatest joy? What makes you happy? What gives you joy? If that's joy for even, let's say 2 months while you explore this training and you don't find joy anymore, then you know what? It's time to go somewhere else. But hold on to the part that pays you money and pays your bills, takes care of you, because you are human, having a human experience. But allow joy to take you to these other realms that you can begin to bring into yourself, which is going to affect you in the job you're in, which will probably, not probably, I'm hearing yes. This is what's going to allow you to go into the next place you want to go. That's going to allow you to bring more of those, these beautiful concepts of your creation. Your ability to create and see as an artist is going to allow you to bring so much into this job that's going to propel you another step to another job where you really want to be. That's going to allow you to bring more of that forth. It may not be jewelry making at your work, but it's going to bring the elements that made you love doing jewelry making. That's what you're going to bring with you. Is that love, that joy. What are you getting, Gabrielle? Do you get anything on this?
Don't quit your day job.
Exactly. And she and I talk about this all the time. And
We do.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you,
be practical.
Here's the thing. Like, for years I was asking, when can I leave my job? But when you begin even doing spiritual things as a job, it becomes a job.
Mm-hmm.
You have to remember that it's personally for myself. And this is something it's why we keep talking about clarity and having that intuitive aspect of yourself alive and well, and that you're checking in with you. Because what I learned is that I love doing the work that I do. I love speaking, and I love going out there, and I love working with private clients, and I love doing the group work. And what I love most about it is that I make bonus money doing it, okay? Because my career actually pays for whatever I need and want. And so it takes the onus off. And so when I'm not crazy about having to sell stuff. It's like, I have people where they can purchase stuff sometimes through this show or not, because it's not my lifeline. I just really want to have these conversations, and I want to reach out to my community, and I want people to get to ask these questions and to come and learn new stuff. And I learn new stuff all the time. And that's what keeps me really interested in what we're all doing. I love sharing things I get. And then, other people tell me, oh my God, I got that too. And then you're like, okay, great. That's fantastic. Cause now we're building that 100th monkey. We're all receiving the same information. And it just reaffirms for me that I'm still on my path, and I'm still doing what I need to do, because, I still ask that question probably a couple times a year, if not more. Am I on my path? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And then two areas that I don't love, then I can drop it, because I'm not relying on it for my only income. If I end up providing something that it doesn't actually excite me as much as I thought it would, then I don't have to do it anymore. And
That's right.
so we create our reality for sure, but remember that you are still here on this earth plane. And we still have human emotions and human needs and things that have to be met, because personally, I really love living in my house, and I like having a car. And, I just,
Right.
yeah, these are things that I would like to continue to keep. So anyway, I just want to say that personally, what I got when I read that was not just don't leave your job, but as our dear lovely Karen said to you, start doing them and see what you like and see how they blossom potentially into other things. I know for Karen, even though she's been seemingly doing the same thing for a long time, it's evolved. And for me, how I started back in 2008 when I was working with clients, I don't even know who that person is anymore. I mean, I completely have evolved into other areas and doing other things. And that's, to me, what makes it fun. And that's my criteria now, is I need to have fun doing it or I don't want to do it anymore. And so that's why I do this show, because I love getting to connect with everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my advice to you. And I also feel that as you get into it, you will hone more which direction you want to express your artistic self. And you may go even broader. I don't know why belly dancing came to me. That is very interesting. So we'll see. I don't know if it's that you're making the costumes or what it is, but belly dancing, and I definitely saw jewels in the belly button. So
Well, I'll tell you what, because I got this whole goddess thing. I mean, that's what you're picking up on too. I'm picking up, it's very empowering pieces that she's working on. And so I want to concur with just, again, what you said. It's reiterating what I said earlier too, is that this is going to springboard you into some other dimensions of work. And so keep doing your art. See, I started out, you guys, I wanted to be an artist. So I became an art therapist, then became a psychotherapist, then became a business owner. It evolves, and I'm still doing my art, and I'm making my boards, and it just keeps going, and it keeps spiraling. And next thing you know, you got all these wonderful quivers for my bow. You got all these, you get so much. And so I'm hearing strongly, stick with what you're doing. And I know you're getting it too. We're also being practical also, but we're also saying there's so much more that's coming out of this beautiful thing you're creating. It's going to shift forms. And yeah, I want to dance with my hands too. So tell us if you're doing some kind of dance, because it's
Wouldn't it be interesting to know? I would look into it. Go take a belly dancing class and see what inspiration you get.
I don't know if you know this. I used to be a belly dance teacher myself. I taught for, I think it was about 9 years. I used to dance professionally. I used to dance at gigs. They pay us. I danced for it. I used to teach all these around the place at different resorts and things. I still dance a little, but I relate to that lady who this is her question, because I think that's where I got the goddess thing. That's what I feel it pull inside of me. So that's interesting. You said belly dancing.
That's what I saw. I mean, it's what it looks like.
Well,
sometimes I think for everybody, it's about choosing something. I recently was talking about this, and I was talking about how we have this idea that we're going to get one answer. And you've already touched on it many times. Yeah. There isn't one answer. There isn't one possibility. There isn't one opportunity. It's really, you get almost so many choices that sometimes that can create the logjam of, I don't know which one to do.
Right.
All I can say is that if you have that many opportunities or potentials, just begin. Do one or two. See where it leads you. If the door closes, then that isn't going to work out. It was just in your head, whatever. Or it's not, that's going to lead you to something else, which is usually how it works. It's like you start down a road thinking you're going to do something, and then it evolves into something else, but you wouldn't have gotten there had you not started. And I think that's the most important piece, right? Yes. So just get started, and just know that I feel like too, at this point in where we are, there aren't wrong choices. Right? We're free, and we have to take a stand for ourselves and our own desires and beliefs and things that it is that fulfill us. And nobody knows what that is. That's the secret. None of us know what it is. We just continue forward. And when you get down, you have friends, or you get on the show like this, and we talk about it with
right.
you. I mean, to help you sort through it, right? And if you don't have those kind of people in your life, it's time to start cultivating them, where they can reach in. It's not about judgment. It's more about, well, here's some things to consider, right? So it's just, it's kind of fun if you make it fun. That's what I think.
Yeah,
all right.
And I'm hearing though also really learn to trust your joy. When you feel that joy and excitement, is to follow those passions. And even if it doesn't make sense, like I all of a sudden I got to take a knitting class because I felt such joy and excitement about it. Well, try it. And then when it doesn't last anymore, then move on. It's okay. We don't have to stick with everything for always. That paradigm's gone. That paradigm's, you work at one place for 35 years, you get your gold watch. That's done. Now try a little bit. We're multidimensional beings. We're expressing all these aspects of our soul self that want to come through, and also from the past life. You know, we're talking earlier about the healing and your relationship with dragons. Mine was more of a dancer, a Devi Dasi and a temple dancer and stuff. And I had expressed that this life. So, you know, go for it. I'm excited for you actually, Jacqueline, because you have so many opportunities here and you're seeing them.
I know. She says, thank you both. Great guidance. And yes, I love to dance. Not exactly belly dancing. All right. Well, we just want to tell you that's what we're kind of seeing, goddess or what have you. So go into it. You never know what will happen. Okay, so Jude has a question. She's asked it in the chat, but she's also live. Let's see if we can get her to talk.
Wonderful.
Hey, girlfriend.
Hey, Jude. Listen, I know Jude, Gabrielle. She's a buddy. And we go way back to, what, 1997, I think, right?
Nice. Oh, it's a long time.
Oh, it's so good to hear your voice, honey. How are you doing? It's great to have you here.
I'm doing great. I do have a professional question for you.
Wonderful.
I'm retiring, and so in Florida, I was there for a month. And when I was back there, I kept seeing something out of the corner of my eye. Mm-hmm. And I just was really busy, so I just discarded it. And then when I came home, it's the same thing. And it happens almost daily. So I'm wondering, what the heck is that?
You know, Jude, I don't know what this is. Other than I can tell you this, I'm getting a sense of a motherly kind of energy, like it's a caretaker or needy. Like, I got to make sure you're okay, or I want you to see me because I've been in your life before, and I want to make sure you still recognize me. Does that make sense? Are you picking up on anything?
Well, you know, yeah, because it's like my sister that passed, my older sister. I've not heard from her, and she was a very spiritual woman, and so we talked like for hours on Sundays, and she's never come to me since she died about a year and a half ago.
You know, what are you resonating with right now, Jude, as you say that?
Well, whatever it is, I didn't feel that it was, you know, negative or anything, but it was just, you know, I would kind of justify it. Oh, that looks like it's the flower outside the window type thing. But in my mind, I knew it had to be something.
Well, you know, you just recently retired, and you finally, you were focused at work and other things you were doing, and now you have the time to just kind of open up. Like we were talking about earlier, this is a time to really just be open up all your perceptions and allow more possibilities to come in. And when you retire or leave your job, you don't have to work as much hard as a lot of us do still. The possibilities come forward. And I'm not surprised to hear that this could be your sister. She feels motherly, and she wants you to know she's there, and also a little needy, like, please pay attention. I'm here. I've been trying to get your attention, kind of thing. And that's why she's coming in different forms. But it does feel like a female to me. And so, you know, think about that. The other thing, Jude, if you want to get confirmation on this for yourself, because I sometimes, because I know you, I don't want to give you confirmation for you. I want you to find it yourself. So if not just what I'm saying, but what you think it is or what it becomes for you, because it's like there's a message to be given. And so one thing what you could do is try your dreams. Ask for her to come in a way that is even more profound. Because I know you, Jude, you're not afraid of this stuff. You've been spiritual all your life, very open to these possibilities. So ask for her to come in a way that might be able to get through better for you. And ask her, I would say, for you in your dreams, if she can present herself. And if you see your sister in your dreams, then start having those conversations, because then I think you're going to get some more message from her. There's some stuff she wants to tell you. And it feels like it's all positive. It doesn't feel negative or anything, but she wants to have that connection with you. I think she's been knocking on the door, Jude, and you have not been answering.
Okay, honey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
I will say this. Susie and I have known each other since 99. And so what is hard is when you know people, it is harder to get your own stuff out of it.
Exactly.
And be able to see as clearly. It just is. And so that's why I told her, no, you need to ask the question yourself, because it's been out there for a long time. Where, and the signs keep showing that, you know, it's coming, but it hasn't come through. And also, where do you go? And that's something that I wonder myself. Am I staying in Florida? or am I going somewhere? And both my husband recently we both came out with it within about 12 hours of one another. We'll know more in January. Like, it's not written. And so
I got it. I got you're going somewhere. That's what I got right when you asked that question. I got you're going somewhere.
Yeah, but it's not written. And this is where we are all coming up. And it's what you and I have been talking about this whole time. It's why you need more clarity.
Yes.
Because it's not written anymore, just like we're not tethered to time anymore.
That's it. That's it.
It's not written. So you have to almost stay fluid with how things are going to work and come together for you. And don't get attached to what you thought or understood yesterday.
Nope.
It's not staying that way. Everything is fluid. So we're going somewhere, and see that part of me that goes, but I love Florida.
I know. We were just talking about before the show started how much you love the greenery down there. And you're like, oh.
I love Florida.
I know.
Hilarious is that when you have children, as I do, everybody has an opinion. So recently, my husband's like, okay, so the choices are Montana, Wyoming, or South Dakota.
You're the one with the M. I was getting an M because of you. No, just kidding.
And most of us in this family are going, okay, those are all cold places. 1, 2, not sunny, and we need sunny. I mean, so we have this whole list of reasons for why, we don't want to go there, right? So this also kept my husband and I from leaving Arizona many years ago, was because we couldn't decide where else in the country we would want to go. So it's a fascinating topic when we're trying to look for answers, and all you can come up with sometimes is it's not written. So you're going to sit tight until it comes in, and you're just going to have to like it.
And it's going to come in out of the blue too. And so it's like the question earlier from the one woman about, where am I moving to? And I got the M, and I said, it's coming in next year. That's not written in stone yet either, but there's this, you're projecting it out there, and I'm picking up on the energies of what you're projecting. But I'm getting that you two are going to move, Gabrielle, and you and your husband, your family are going to move, but it's going to be all of a sudden. And this is what I'm finding too, when just think of riding the waves of possibilities. Something's going to present, I'm talking to everybody here. Something presents itself, and how you read it, how you get clarity is you go right here. You go, the guides started talking about this a while back. How do you feel right here in your heart? How's that resonate? If you're not sure, then wait a while and ask again. And you might even be a matter of driving to that place and visiting it and see how you resonate there. It might be a matter of looking at pictures if you're going to move somewhere. It might be looking at, there's this job excitement, actually starting the job and seeing if it's something for you. So you got to keep moving, but every single second be open to all the possibilities and the fluidity. Okay, they're telling me that's the second key word. Gain the clarity and be with the fluidity of it. That's they're saying. You've got to be fluid in this day and age, especially right now with all this COVID stuff, how much this year has changed, how much things are falling apart. You got to flow, because it's taking us, believe it or not, everybody, to a much better place. I know it's hard to say or hear and feel that sometimes, but it's taking us to a much better place. You cannot evolve as a species to a higher level, or as our consciousness, or even our own empowerment, if we don't look at what's there that's underneath the surface that has been hidden from us. We have to see that stuff. That comes up with it in our emotions. It comes up. We're seeing it in our governments. We're seeing it around the world. We're seeing it in our own lives. Things are coming apart, and that's going to be positive. Ultimately, doesn't always feel like it right now.
So I just want to say and add to that, to remember that everything that is happening, it's important to continue to call in the light for all of the highest and best good to come forward, that all evil and evil intent be encased in the light and return to God's light. Because in chaos, if we allow chaos and fear, what happens is we are creating a rock bed for darkness to come in, basically. And if we truly want the shift to light, then we have to remember that everything that is happening is so we can make the shift, but we have to be active participants in that. Meaning, project the light, intend the light, call in the light, call in the angels to help all the people. Personally, I do a lot of talking about this, more on the personal client level versus out there in the real world. But when everything boils down to the very root of the issue, to love and honor and accept oneself, this is what we're looking for. Every person, no matter who you are, every animal, they still want to love and accept themselves. They want your attention, but ultimately they're comfortable and happy within themselves for the most part. So we have to remember that that's the ultimate, love and accept yourself, because all of us are beings of light. As Karen started, I think, this discussion out with, that we're all beings of light. Yeah. We're all aspects of God. And so helping each one of us to find our way to that connectedness and wholeness is what will heal and shift us to that higher vibration. And will also stop the crazy that is going on in our outside reality, right? So if you're not sure where to put your energy, put it to that intention that we call the light, that each and every being on this planet receive the highest vibration of love and light, to heal them, to allow them to know and accept themselves, to love and accept themselves as aspects of God. I think that's the greatest service that we can do for all of us, because the more of us that do it, as we've said 100 times in this show tonight, it's the 100th monkey. And the more of us that do this and work on that with ourselves. Somebody else had asked about, a block to their connection and being able to channel and having clarity. And that's the ultimate. It's the pentuplet. What is the word?
Pentacle?
No. The ultimate is going for that, is being able to have that peace and wholeness from within in order, penultimate. Thank you.
Oh yeah, penultimate. Okay, I said, okay.
That was a word I heard, but I just couldn't say it.
G.
You know what's funny is I love when I get words that I don't actually use.
I get that too, and I have to go look them up sometimes.
I always have to look them up, and I'm like, oh wow, that does totally fit. That's fantastic. Glad I was able to get that out of my mouth. Okay, so this is where we are. And so for everybody, I just want you to feel into it. I love and honor myself. I love and honor myself as an aspect of God and as a being of light. And then I want to know how that goes for you after you do it for like a week, every day. And every time you start to doubt yourself, worry about your future, worry about where you should go, what choices you should make, just give yourself that little boost of light. How do you feel about that, Karen?
I feel great about that. And the guys are saying, tell him this, this is good. And notice when you started speaking, my cat came over and he was meowing to whatever you were saying, and what you were talking about was this the whole idea about the light within. What they want me to say too is that consider yourself the alchemist on a journey. Consider yourself the one who's going to do the transformation of yourself, and you do it by, again, opening up to all the possibilities that can come into your cauldron, into your limbic chamber, and allow that to percolate within you by being open, allowing these different things and ideas and thoughts and joys and excitement coming in, and then allow that to be your excitement and your transformational point, because your excitement, your joy, and feeling centered within yourself is what's going to allow you to shift and change in the direction you need to change without worry. Things are always going to change. We can count on that. That's one thing we can count on, is change. But to get through it, even you're going to have ups and downs. So let me see a better word to say in this. Okay. They're saying to get through it, because every single path you're on is ultimately correct. There is no one right way to go. That's what they're saying to me. So just be open to that. Be open to the possibilities. Put it together in a limbic chamber. Be the alchemist who stirs this up to see what he creates, because you're going to be able to transmute those things in your life that you feel like you don't have clarity on. And that's what's going to happen. But you're doing this by opening and bringing it within and centering on it, and then asking yourself those questions. It's a process. And if you get to a crossroads and you have all these possibilities, you're not sure which one to go on, just take each one, bring it within your heart, and ask yourself that question the guides have told you to do. What's the next step? What's the next direction? And keep asking until you get the next clarity. But don't worry about not making a step, because they're saying each step you take is actually positive no matter what happens. You might just detour this way and this way because it's not where you really want to be. but they say action is what you have to do. So be the alchemist and be that force that actually can transform yourself from the inside out.
Exactly. I love it. And so we're going to leave it there. That was the last word. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom.
I was going to say one more thing. Before your cat came up and said hi, I was saying hi to him. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. So Tina from the audience was talking to my cat who's laying there, and he comes over. Well, he responded. He loves energy. He loves the Ouija board. He loves these talks. So, again, Gabrielle, thank you so much for having me. And it's great being here with everybody and all you guys who participated. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And for those of you who are just hanging out and listening, namaste as well. Thank you for being here.
That's right. We thank you all, and I hope to see you all soon and hear from you. Please hit reply to your email. Let us know what came to you and what is happening for you as the days go on, as you start to integrate what it is that you've learned tonight, because this is, as I said, it's really important to help all of us. All of us are learning, Karen and I included, and when we all talk to one another, we realize how even though she's on the other coast and I'm on this coast, how we're still getting the same information. I just love that.
I do too.
Isn't that the coolest? All right, everybody, we love you, love you, love you, and thank you for being here. You all have a great night. See you soon.